Yes, sir.
Let's go ahead and get started. Paula, let's go ahead and show. It's 6:30. So let's go ahead and make sure we got our mics on. So it's 6:30. We show that. If you can go ahead and begin with the roll call.
District 1, Alderman Joseph Morrow.
Present.
District 2, Alderman Sam Cortez.
Here.
District 3, Alderman David Emery.
Here.
District 4, Michael Rodriguez.
Here.
District 5, Alderman Charles Kay.
There we go. All right. Well, thank you so much for that. Appreciate that. And first of all, hey, Charles, welcome back. Appreciate being able to see you here, and thank you for your service and your commitment, being able to serve. And we look forward to the continuous as we actually continue. Well, with that in mind, one of the things with those of us that were part of the military, every time we came back from being in deployment, just like Charles did, one of those greatest feelings is be able to see the flag again, be back in this side of the world, and just remember what it was all about that you actually went to actually defend. So, Charles, can you lead us with our Pledge of Allegiance?
Yeah. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Thank you so much. Thanks, Charles. Appreciate that. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to item number 4. Did we have anybody sign up? This is a section where we have citizens to be heard. This is the opportunity for citizens, visitors, and guests to address the city council on any issue or any item of the agenda in compliance with the LGC Section 551.007. City council may not discuss any presented issue, nor may make any action to be taken in any issue at this time. Citizens to be heard are limited to 3 minutes each. So I don't see anybody here.
Oh, I didn't sign.
You didn't sign, okay.
Sorry.
Okay, so let me go ahead and put, so she can sign in so we can have record. And then we'll give you a chance and you have 3 minutes after you sign in to go ahead and address the council. All right. Thank you so much, ma'am. All right. Ms. Rodriguez, got 3 minutes. How can we?
The reason I'm coming by is talking about our road again. I live on 144 County Road 6842. It's in Twin Lakes. We're still a city road, and of course it's been an issue getting the maintenance done on it. And I did call about the road because there's so many potholes right now, and especially with the last rain. And then I was told that I need to call the county because Divine's handling it. But we are a city road. We still get city services. We get the trash. We get brush pickup. It's just our road is not maintained. So I know that was one of the roads that was on the list last year, the agenda, with the budget and all that, and it didn't get picked. So I'm coming just to ask again about getting the maintenance done on the road.
Awesome. And I can see your address on here. So I will definitely get together. We'll get together. and
It's
look
just pretty bad right now because the buses go through there really fast and the potholes are just all over the road now. There's not a good spot. We're driving on the grass now, so basically. So
Will they
just wanna
pick the
get-
right time and be able to take a look at it? So,
We have a plan for that road. It doesn't involve our paving project because it would take probably the majority of our money and then some to actually pave the road up to a city standard. But I do have something working with our public works and the company that's doing a lot of the buildings on 35.
Because I did talk to the Divine people and they said they were gonna try to go out there and scrape it, but it needs gravel. Like it's really, taken away. The last time, I guess probably 3 or 4 years ago that they put gravel, they put a good amount, and it's held up until I guess last year when it was an issue again with the rain. But I definitely just wanted to bring it up again and start coming to the meetings to remind y'all, somebody, whoever I need to remind.
yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right.
Yeah, we're working with them and we're also working with the county too. So
Okay.
I'm glad that you're talking to them too. And please encourage any of the other folks.
Yeah, we told our neighbor,
So-
but I guess he forgot. We tried to remind him to come.
Let them know.
I'll let him know. I'll
Yeah.
try and remind him
We
every month.
got a new commissioner over there and
Yes.
he seems to be willing to help us out. And he's paying very close attention to our bus routes.
Yes.
That's what he's looking at. So,
Yeah, and it's right there where they closed that road. So, now more traffic's going through there because that closed long road, by the lake. So we're right in the corner there. So,
yes, ma'am.
okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. All right. Anybody else? No? Okay. So let's go ahead and move on to the next item. And we'll go ahead and go to the consent of the agenda. Number 5A, consider approval of the minutes. We're going to go ahead and concentrate on January the 9th, 2023.
Mayor, I want to start by making a motion to approve the minutes for January 9th, 2023.
Okay.
Submitted.
Got a motion on the floor? Got a second? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, motion carries forward. Thank you. Okay, let's go ahead and go to double I, or 2, and January the 23rd, 2023.
Mr. Mayor, on open session action item C, I believe there's some mistake or something there underneath. It says watch video. I'm not sure what that means. What makes it typo? I'm sorry?
I keep my nose up.
That was a note to herself to watch the video.
Oh, okay. Well, there needs to be something done at the end of the sentence, because it says, but the county will watch the video. I don't think they're gonna watch the video.
I'm sorry, I didn't so
Yeah, you need to go back in your notes and fill in whatever's missing from that sentence.
There you go.
And also, remember, I used to teach English and grammar, I'm sorry, but the very last item, number 20, under announcements, and it's just an announcement, flu is FLU. FLUE is the thing that smokes goes out of your chimney.
Well, it is being passed around right now.
Yeah, it was, both of them are, people using chimneys, so, other than that, if there's nothing else, I move that we approve the minutes for
Approve as
January
amended.
23rd as amended.
Good. I got a motion on the floor. Got a second?
I got one more item on the department reports. It was Sergeant Lopez that presented the police monthly report, not Priest, Chief Priest.
Perfect.
And that's it.
David kept it short to the point. We were done
Record
very
time.
early. We were record time. We got that meeting done really quick. It worked out really good. All right. Okay. Any further discussion? Okay, I had the motion. Let me repeat myself again. Motion. We had a motion on second. Okay. So any further discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? All right, thank you so much. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to B, consider the approval of payment of the bills. I think Lynette actually provided a handout for you guys to actually review.
I don't think I got one of those.
There you go.
Mayor, I want to start by making the motion to approve the payment of bills as presented.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for the approval of the payment of the bills. Got a second? Okay. Any discussion or clarification of the bills?
Are you all the bills?
We usually don't get the majority of the bills until after the 15th, so you'll get more of them the next time.
Any other further?
We're usually running about 300,000, so this is like maybe a quarter.
Any further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. Appreciate that, council. Thanks, Paola, for the adjustments. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to number 6. This is a public hearing. We're going to open that up. Let's go ahead and make an annotation. It's 6:40 right now. As a start time, the public hearing is regarding the preliminary plat review and rezoning the Lytle Loft storage located in 19790 Highway 35 North, Lytle, Texas, described as ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 1.27 acres. ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 6.24 acres. ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 0.898 acres. ABS and ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 4.092 acres. Whew. Telling you,
One more time.
we would
too.
put all the tracks and all the information in there. We got it in there. We got it in there. Okay, so we're opening it up. See any comments? Do we have anybody in attendance that would like to mention or highlight anything on this for the council?
Overall available for questions.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay, That's once. Anybody like to say any comments? I'll give 2 times. Nobody? Okay. Let's go ahead and show 6:42. We'll go ahead and close the actual public hearing and annotate on there that we did not have any inputs or any comments. All right. Thank you, council. Matt, we're going to go ahead and proceed with, okay. So we'll go ahead and we're going to jump right into the open session. This is a take action on items discussed. And the first item is A, is consider and act upon the preliminary plat and rezoning for the Lytle Loft Storage located at 19790 Highway 35 North, Lytle, Texas, described as ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 1.27 acres. ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 6.24 acres. ABS A00839 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 0.898 acres. And ABS A0039 T. Thomas SV 513.5, 4.092 acres. Matt.
Okay, council, before you, you're going to have this plan. It's for the preliminary plat and rezoning. So this has already been seen by planning and zoning, which they've already approved both of these. It's going to take them from a B1 to a B3, which would coincide with the mini storage that they're wanting to build over there. The developer is here tonight if you have any questions. Provided you with the site plan on what they're looking at doing over there. We are currently working with them through everything. So far, everything is up to par, no issues, and it brings us in compliance with kind of what the other zoning is up in that area.
Can you briefly explain the difference between the B1 and the B3?
B3 is the highest level. You can pretty much do anything you want in there. It's going to allow you to do the a mini storage type development over there. There's just different levels, and B3 is the least restrictive. It allows you to do the most amount with it.
It should have been, yep, you got the handout, and there should have been the handout on there, kind of shows.
Did we send out for one thing, do we have a written report from the zoning commission?
Oh.
We do have a written report? Okay. My next question is, did we provide proper notice to the property owners within 200 feet?
Paula said she sent them out, and then we got no responses back from them.
So everything gonna be storage at that big building too, or is there gonna be?
Yeah, so Rick Hendricks, I'm the civil engineer for the project, working with Alan Bolton. So right now, there's multiple uses going on out there on the property. There's this large building they're gonna reconvert into let me back up just right. There are some existing self-storage facilities out there that are being used right now with self-storage. And so those buildings will stay in operation. The current tenants will stay in there using those buildings. There are some, like West Texas Gas has one of the office spaces that they're using. They'll maintain use of that. As you come back around to the front side, right on the frontage there, you'll kind of see one of the larger building there. They'll go in, kind of retrofit the interior of that building for self-storage. And on the exterior, there'll be some RV parking spaces. And it is part of their kind of the overall site plan as you're looking at the property. As we combine all the properties to properly plat it, and then there's also going to be there'll be some pad sites up along the frontage road for potential uses that will coincide with the city zoning. Could be a car wash, could be, some sort of coffee shop or something in there, to lend itself use for the city.
So they're leaving some of the pads right up front, to give flexibility in case we have some folks that are coming in, whether it be retail or restaurant or
Yes, sir.
something that goes along that way.
Right, and then the same thing with the building that's closer to 2790, kind of that same thing. It's kind of a little flex office space there that can be leased out for, little retail shop, or somebody goes in, has a small business, they need an office area there, they can use that for
So
facility
would
as
they
well.
lease or sell the pads?
The idea would be really typically lease or sell the pad.
To be determined.
No, that's okay.
Honestly, I don't.
So you're the owner?
I'm Alan Bowling, yeah, this is my wife, Linda.
Okay.
We also own Pump House Car Washes. We're not new to Lytle. We've been here 20-something years.
Oh, okay, good. Will any of the units be climate controlled?
Oh, absolutely. You betcha. We're gonna have, what we're gonna do is where Bobby's used cars used to be, that building more than likely is gonna be coming down. That'll be the focal point with the office. If you've seen, on Highway 90 in Castroville, if you've seen Alsatianetics self-storage, that new one out there, that's one of our projects, okay? So it will be nice, presentable, and you'll be proud of it. But anyhow, they'll come in there at where the Bobby's used cars was. That'll be the office. The machinery auctioneer's building will be converted to climate controlled storage, as well as we're looking at some flex office in there. There's a market for that here. The buildings that we bought from Mr. McCluskey, Tom McCluskey, there are 3 buildings there. They'll still be there. Patriot Automotive, where they're in, will be converted to RV boats. And then on the end by the Best Western will be a drive-through and express wash. You've seen our sign for 2 years now.
I was
So,
wondering
when
when
that's coming.
Right.
It just takes a while to put everything
I was
together.
wondering when you were gonna put it up.
And we're gonna put it up.
Now, you own the pump houses existing on
Yes.
Main Street. Is this gonna be the new improved super duper?
Well, this will be a tunnel. This will be a tunnel.
Okay,
Yeah, with a conveyor. Just some.
okay, so it will pull your car through?
Yes, sir.
I see.
Yes.
With the exterior, with the outside, having vacuum, kind of a little pull up so you can have the vacuum cleaners.
The ones with the free vacs, you've seen them in
Yeah,
San
sure.
Antonio.
Good question. Council?
Mayor, I want to make a motion to accept, or I'm sorry, to approve item 7A. I'm not going to repeat the whole thing as presented.
Okay, good. Got a motion on the floor?
I'll second that.
Okay, got a second? Any further discussion?
How do the proposed changes follow your comprehensive zoning plan?
So everything along 35, the comprehensive zoning plan that we had done, you're talking about the one from 25 years ago, or the one that ends in
The
2025.
one that we have right now.
So all that's, my understanding on looking at all that, that was all going to be zoned as commercial, and that was going to be the big commercial zone is up there along 35. From the best I can recall of all that. Again, we have not stuck with that plan throughout the years. We've varied from that. This is probably the first time in as long as I've been coming that I've heard us actually reference back to it. It was a great plan we created. We just never really stuck with it for whatever reason. Good news is it's up in 2025. We need to create a new one. So
So does it fall into it or not?
from the best I can recall, yes. That was my recollection of doing all this is everything along the 35 was our B3 zoning district. Everything along McDonald Street got redone to B3. And that was going to be our commercial districts.
And we said that the zoning commission already gave the okay.
Yes.
Yes, do we need that written report from the zoning commission before we can proceed?
I don't know that a written report is specifically required. Often it's, there's usually just whether or not the planning and zoning commission is an advisory body to the city council. Often it's included as part of the backup or just some summary or what the discussion or whatever it was. It may be included in the backup memorandum from the staff to the council regarding the review, but typically it may be just as simple as the commission recommending approval or disapproval.
And the reason I bring this up, Mr. Boland, is that I know you spent a lot of time and effort in compiling all this land, and I want to make sure that we as a city are crossing our T's and dotting our I's. Because I know for a fact that not all the adjacent property owners have received or really noticed yet for this proposed change. I was talking with Marshall Witter this afternoon, actually, and I asked him about it. So, I mean, I'm excited about it, anything that's coming to light. I just want to protect you. I don't want somebody to come back because we have about 20 homes in Sour Ridge back there, I think, within 200 feet as well. I mean, we need to provide 20 different letters, wouldn't we, to Sour Ridge for the different property IDs.
It's all property owners within the 200 feet.
Yes, sir, 200 feet. I mean, it butts up right back to the plat that you're platting, rezoning. So, I mean, my concern is you want to get started on this as soon as possible, I hope, right?
Yeah.
That we're protecting you and we're looking out for your interests. You're not having somebody come back and saying, well, they didn't follow procedure. So,
Did we actually send the letters out?
Follow up.
I mean,
Has that plat been recorded? If not, it's still one property owner owns that Saddle Ridge property.
I'm no expert on it, that's why I'm not going to ask these questions.
So, and then I'll just add too, so the city's current zoning right now for that property is B2. Self-storage is not within that B2 zoning. So the rezoning to B3 allows for that self-storage use that's there. We'll comply with the city's zoning code to make sure that the properties that are existing within that property are aligned with the zoning code as well.
Yeah, I'm just going off what was told me today by Mr. Ware, that he didn't receive those.
I can tell you that we've had issues with, I don't know about this, but I can tell you we've had issues with the US mail. We don't receive bills, people don't receive our checks, we see it regularly every day.
Also,
Yeah.
So notices went out, and we also had the opportunity for the hearing that went along with
We've
that.
had hearings, everything's been posted publicly.
We put it out in the newspaper and everything. Okay. All right. Anything else, Charles?
Well, yeah, right now.
Any other discussion? Okay. We have motions out on the floor, so all those in favor? Any opposed?
They-
Okay, motion carries forward. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, council. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to B, discussion and presentation by SJRC Texas, formerly St. Jude's Ranch for Children, about the organization's foster care and adoption services program. Matt, did you want to, any opening comments before Dr.
No,
Knox?
sir, they're here for a presentation.
Come on over, ma'am.
All right.
Appreciate it.
Mayor, council members, I appreciate you letting me come and speak to you tonight. I want to start off by saying that I'm not remiss, but our company, Belong, has been remiss in getting out to Lytle. I took over about 3 months ago, and I realized you guys are in Atascosa, and no one's ever come out to talk to you. And Belong is now the conservatorship for all of your foster kids here in Lytle. You may know that about 12 years ago, we were federally sued here in Texas, our DPS, DFPS, and our CPS, because we weren't providing very good foster care for our children. So the last legislative session, they came out and said, okay, we've got these things that we want you to do, that the judge is telling us to do, and that is getting rid of CPS to take care of these foster children. And we want you to send that out to nonprofits. And so that's where we came in. SJRC, which is Belong is part of, has been offering foster care for about 40 years here in Texas. But we're new to this community-based care. We were given the contract. We are now in 27 counties. Everything surrounding Bexar County is under us. I'm the regional director for the South, and that means that I cover everything from LaSalle, Karnes, Frio, Atascosa, and Wilson County. And so we're slowly moving into this community-based. What that means is that now that when kids are taken away by criminal investigations, which is still with the state, then we take over. And we don't send our kids other places. We come into the communities, we make a relationship with you guys, and we try to keep the kids here. I provided you with some statistics. Atascosa County is one of the highest in our area, in our region, for having kids removed. But we're also one of the worst at keeping them here. 22% of our kids actually stay in their counties, and that is a horrible statistic. I mean, you guys live here, you guys work here, you guys love this community. This is where you want your kids to be raised, right? And if we're not keeping your kids here, they're not getting those wonderful events, the schooling and everything that you want them to get. Your kids are mostly going to Houston, to Dallas, maybe San Antonio, even some of them out of state. And so what we're hoping to do with you is we're going to show you that we can provide the resources if you help us by providing foster families. There's two ways to go. You all know foster families are sometimes just people who step up to the bat and say, I'm going to take care of these children. But we have a lot of kinship foster families, and that's where we like to keep our kids. So they're actually in the same family, staying with relatives. And to do that, we have to provide them with lots of services. Grandma may not be ready to take on, 4 grandchildren. And so we have to help her out by coming in, getting builders in the area to maybe help her bring her house up to grade, providing her with funds, providing the kids with all of things that they need to do to keep safe. We will be coming into the area, meeting hopefully with your churches first. We have interfaith-based people who come in. If every church in Lytle provided us with 1 foster family, then we could keep all of the kids here. And churches provide wonderful communities for your children to be in. So that's kind of where we like to go. That's where we start out. We also are going to need resources, hopefully from you guys. But almost all of our large cities are providing, helping us find a place to store resources, like car seats, so that we can safely take our kids back and forth from court or to the doctor. We try to bring in resources, everything from clothes to beds, and we do need a little bit of storage space. I was going to leave my card with this guy who's building this storage space there, because that is one place in Atascosa, in Pleasanton. They've given us, someone has donated a storage space. So that is one thing that we need, and we just need to find out what are your resources that are already set up here. Do you have a food pantry? If not, let's get one built. Do you have a child welfare board? If not, let's find one and let's put one together to help you guys out. The first thing you can do is, of course, I provided you with a proclamation. April is Child Abuse Prevention Month, and we're asking cities in our region to make this proclamation saying that you stand with us against child abuse. We'll be contacting your city hall and your schools to hopefully put up pinwheels that show you how many kids in Atascosa County are actually in foster care. And then we have a little tag to show you how many haven't been able to stay in the community. It's really hard to get reunified if you can't see your parents, and over here in Atascosa, we have a lot of Indian child welfare cases also. And so we have to be very careful about making sure we do the best that we can to keep those kids near their tribe. And so I'm just asking you guys to give us a help so that we can help your kids. I don't know if next month you guys can bring up the proclamation. I can bring one nicely.
Yeah, we'll go ahead and I'll get together with the city staff and go ahead and go over it. And so we can go ahead and take a look at this. So you work closely with the schools already?
Yes.
Okay, because that's one of the most important things, as you know, being able to work with them with the resources that they need. They're the ones that identify a lot of the sources. They're the ones that actually here locally work really good with us in determining the pantry, the special needs, the backpack that goes home on the weekends. So definitely work real closely with that, just so we don't need to duplicate efforts that are already being taken care of.
And we are big on prevention. We have about 100 employees that work just on prevention. We want to get in there now and stop the kids from getting removed. And that was something that CPS was never able to do. They were also never able to partner with communities and businesses. So we gave out gifts to all the kids in our region. These were big gifts. These kids filled out wish lists for Christmas. And then I took the lists around to different communities, different businesses. I mean, these kids were getting Air Jordans. These kids were getting things that they never thought that they would be able to get. They're in residential treatment in San Antonio, but they got every single thing on their wish list. And that's because of you guys, because of your communities.
So question for you. I know you mentioned Atascosa, but you have Medina, so you take care of Medina also.
I don't, but yes, we do have, we have a north, south, east, and west region.
Okay.
So and we work across regions.
Good, because I can tell you, it's right there.
Yep, so, I'm aware of that.
And working with the school district, you'll find out that you also have assistance needed assistance through the Medina County side too.
Yeah, Medina has a lot of what we call hubs already set up, and Lidle's kind of a little bit behind that. We need to get the hub and the resources in here with the, a place to put it. So we're not driving like all the way to Castroville if we need a car seat or something like that. So, that's our first thing is to get in here. And I'm assuming this is your city administrator?
Yes. And we'll work through this, and once again, I do want us to talk to the school
Mhm.
so we don't duplicate efforts, because I know there's certain things that they already have, and they do work a lot with Medina County. So
Okay.
I think it might be good for us to strategize getting the Medina County team and your team together
Great.
and have those conversations, because it's important
That
that
would
we
be
take care of them.
wonderful,
but
yeah.
Let's make it smartly.
We don't want to duplicate resources.
Yes.
None of us have the money to do that. But yes, if you guys are interested in doing the proclamation with the other places in our region, just reach out to me. Let me know. I can print up a really nice one before you sign it and everything, and make or if you want to make any changes to it. But we encourage you to be our partners.
We'll work.
I have a question. You mentioned CPS is not doing it. Do they no longer exist? Were they disbanded?
They exist. They don't have very many. For instance, Bear, all the caseworkers that did these regions were told to either come to the nonprofit, and then we would interview them and decide which ones to take and not to take, or they would not have a job. They had to either go to criminal investigations, and this is going to happen across the whole state. I'm happy to say we are the first group that has moved into stage 2.
So they're phasing CPS out.
They are phasing CPS out.
And I'm sure you're familiar with Community Real Services here.
Yes, we work with them.
I was going to ask if you had interaction with
They're
them.
they're one of our community partners.
They're big, I think, on family intervention and
Counseling and
entering people into society after they've had some difficulty.
yes, yeah, we work with them in almost every county except Karnes. Any other questions?
Any other questions?
Well, thank you guys so much.
Dr. Knox, thank you so much, and actually, thank you for what you do.
Oh, thank you.
We appreciate it. Thank you. All right. All right, council, let's go ahead and move on to C. Consider and act upon authorizing the city administrator to execute an amended and restated master services agreement for engineering services with TRC Engineers.
So council, this came up because we're doing these big infrastructure projects, and we're working under a 2008 agreement with TRC. They've been great partners with the city for a very long time, but the agreement didn't favor the city as well as it probably should have through all these years. So our attorneys and their attorneys got together and worked through what you have before you tonight. Concessions were made both on our part and their part, but this is a updated master service agreement that gives the city a little more protection. It is a 3-year agreement with automatic 2-year renewals, and it spells out everything in there on what's expected. When we do something with them, it's called a task order now. If there's issues, there's ways we actually spell out how we notify them and what's expected of everybody now. So it was just, we're going from 2008 to 2023 on an agreement. So TRC is here tonight. I think Craig has got any questions, but we were on a big phone call with everybody, and when the legal was working through the last bit of these, and up until today at noonish time, I think it was when the last one was, I think ours said, no, we really want this in there, and their legal said, okay. So.
Might I ask, since I don't think any of us are lawyers and we don't speak legalese, were there any big show-stopping type things that you wrangled over to put in here?
Nothing.
Anything that we need to know about, or it's just fine-tuning it?
There was nothing big, even when the big conference call, it was me, our attorney, TRC, and their attorney. And I was expecting more pull. There was nothing. Everybody's okay. That sounds good. Really, I mean, I give TRC credit. They didn't have any issues. Everything I got from our attorney that worked with them, there was no pulling teeth. There was no nothing. They just said, yeah, you're right. We need to upgrade this. And here we are today.
Awesome. Okay.
Well, based on that, I move that we authorize our city administrator to execute the amended and restated master service agreement for engineering services with TRC Engineering.
Okay, got a motion on the floor? I have a second?
Second.
Got a second? Open for discussion now?
So you spoke of concessions. What concessions were made on our part and what concessions were made on TRC's part?
Nothing big. There was one, I think, that I can recall where our agreement said TRC was responsible for notifying us on like any safety issues. Concession was TRC would notify us on safety issues they were made aware of or that they visually saw, but there was no way for them to blanket and say, hey, we think there might be a safety issue. Things like that. The latest one was on, I think there's some indemnifying stuff. They wanted a little more in there. Our attorney said, well, we can't really indemnify that much. It's to the extent allowed by law. We worked back to, there's some links in there on that one where it talked about, we would go back to, and like I said, a lot of this was done by legal. I'm not an attorney. So, talking about ethics and stuff like that, that we would go, if there was any ethical issues, we'd go back to what state law already has. We wouldn't create something new. It's basically what state law has already stated. It was just little items like that. There was no real big concessions on anything. It was just minor things where our attorney said, no, we need more protection. And y'all, if you see something, you have to notify us. There is no you can, you may, that you shall. And then some of the other ones was if we locate an issue a year from now, we find an issue that we can bring it up and there's a process on how you either fix it or reimburse the city. Before there wasn't a whole lot of that there. There was some, the warranty period was real short. Now we get a year in the warranty period. It was just little items like that.
My second question is, why are you executing this and not the mayor as we've done in the past?
This is just something the attorneys came up with. It said it can be the city administrator. If the council's happy, we can change it to say mayor. I don't think it's one way or the other.
Jesse, you seen some of the other municipalities? Is this something commonly done with the city administrator?
It's done either way. It depends on the city, how they typically look at the council and stuff.
Well, council, I don't, just so you know, from my perspective, I don't have any issue with Matt actually being.
No, our approval tonight is our approval, but it's a matter of who signs it.
Just so you know, no concerns on my side.
Do you have the original with you?
The 2008 version,
19.4?
I can email it to you.
No, but the question is on 19.4. There was a statement about if the consultant brings up charges and do not prevail, attorney fees cannot be incurred by the city. Why was that taken out?
Jesse, help me on that. That's a lot of the legal stuff there. I think.
I know a lot of
we-
it was reworded.
Yeah.
To more put the city in charge of everything, but I want to know why that particular statement was removed. So it says if consultant brings any claim against city and consultant does not prevail with respect to such claim, consultant shall be liable for all attorney fees and costs incurred by the city as a result of such claim.
So correct me if I'm wrong, Jesse, if something goes wrong and we wind up in court
Right,
and they fail in court,
right.
then we can recover and recoup our attorney fees and what it cost us to defend that.
So you basically just reworded that.
Yeah, it's how, I guess, legal worded it now.
Okay,
Yeah, 19.4, 19.5 still.
right.
apply for-
Yeah, I saw the wording's still there. The verbiage is still there. It's just that at that particular line, it's not as,
There was some stuff that moved in
Obvious.
here, like it was stated in one section and they said it was better stated in another section, or it gets double stated.
Mhm.
And one attorney liked it stated twice or wanted it once, it's, if we had 5 more attorneys look at it, I'm sure we'd probably have 5 more versions. Every attorney's a little different on how they negotiate contracts and legal verbiage.
that was a question I had.
Okay. All right. Any further questions, comments, council? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries forward. Really appreciate all hard work with TRC and Jesse. You guys getting this taken care of so we could go ahead and put something together as we actually start evolving with some of the major projects here in the near future. So thank you. Appreciate that on behalf of
It
all.
was a great opportunity for Richard Lindner, our construction attorney, to get in contact with the TRC folks, because obviously there are a number of projects going forward, and that line of communication's been established, so I think it's a good place now.
Awesome. Thank you. And thanks, Matt, for being able to put this stuff together.
Mostly legal.
All right, let's go ahead and move over to D. Consider and act upon the resolution of number 23-01, providing notice and ordering a general election to be held on May the 6th, 2023 for the election of Council District Number 1, Council District Number 2, and Council District Number 3. Hola?
We had Mr. Emery, we had Mr. Emery who picked up the packet, and I received that one.
No, we don't need to, it's just the resolution.
Yeah.
I
Just
don't
need
have
to pass
that,
it.
would have the consent.
Do you have the final resolution, Tessa?
Yes, there's no additional changes.
Okay.
The one wrinkle, it's a little unusual, this is the, state law requires the council to hold general elections every year. This is so the deadline for the council to approve a resolution authorizing or calling for the annual general election is this week, I think it's the 15th. So that's what this resolution does, it just automatically establishes the call for the general election. This will be for council positions 1, 2, 3 this particular year. What was a little bit unusual is that the city will be conducting its own elections, which is a little unusual. Most cities usually enter into elections agreement with the county. Usually they'll share the cost with another either city or school district that's holding an election that year. But apparently the city's been unable to get one this year.
Yes, Atascos County was not running elections for anybody. Medina County had too many. Atascos County did say that if we need to hold our own election, they have workers that they can give us references for who we can hire to help run the election. But ultimately, it's going to be the city's election if one is needed.
And I know we've had counsel that in the past. It just depends whether or not there's a general election or a main election with the other counties that make it easier. And we do pair up with the other counties just to make it simpler, because we try to make it to where our residents go to one place and be able to take care of everything instead of going to numerous things. So this is just for us to go ahead and allow the resolution to carry forward. Is that
That's
correct?
correct. Our state law, to hold the election, you have to pass an election resolution by mid-February, I think it's the 15th. So this week would be the deadline for that, so this is timely. The city owns its own election equipment as well, so I think, and it's great that the county has workers available, because as you're probably aware, the state has been passing different rules about early voting and poll watchers and all kinds of things like that. So lots of the rules have changed, and so training is required to really be up to date on that. And I think there's just some recent training around the area, so Paula and the staff, and it sounds like from the county, we have people available to provide that assistance to the city to do that. So the resolution authorizes the city to enter into agreements with counties, so in this case, I guess for additional staff to support the election. And so we could do that, so that's what this does.
Awesome. Okay. Council?
How many people do we have signed up so far? What's the deadline for them to sign up?
Friday.
We have anyone signed up?
Mr. Emery.
We have 2. We have 1 in District 3, 1 in District 2. We don't have anyone yet in District 1.
Council, once again, this is for us to be able to have the resolution in place to give us the flexibility to do what we need to do.
Well, I move that we publish the resolution so we can move forward with our election.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to go ahead and create the resolution and publish it. Okay. Second? Okay, any further discussion?
So at what point do we discuss the how, when, and where?
So I think that passing the resolution, and then based on the inputs that we get at the end of this week, then that would be the next thing, right? Whether or not we actually have to do the election. Is that correct, Jesse?
Correct. If there are no, there's only one candidate for each available position, then there would be no need to hold an election and we then cancel the election. But in order to comply with the state law, you have to at least open and hold the election.
So at the point that we do have to have an election, that's the question. Does that come to the council to discuss on how it's going to be done?
we're gonna hold our own election. That's what the ordinance is saying. We're gonna
No,
hold our.
I'm more concerned with who's gonna be in charge, the personnel being invited and so forth.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
that,
it's the city secretary, but then we will hire people to
Right,
run it.
and that's
for us.
what I wanna
and
find out.
that comes just like in the past. They usually the
Well, I
city
wasn't
staff
there
will
in the
bring.
past, so.
No, I'm with you. But just so you know, so normally they'll bring forward the actual names of the people that are going to be helping us out with that.
And that'll come for a vote on the council, or is that just simply informational?
That's usually comes over as a vote.
Okay.
Typically, for example, if the city were entering into an election agreement, would say Atascosa County to run the election, that kind of election services type agreement would be presented to the council at a later date. The deadlines for, when early voting begins, where the polling places are, that's already established in this resolution. That framework is required under state law to establish that.
Okay.
And those comply, and those are set statewide, so those are already set. But with regard to the mechanics of the actual, of contract, so
Right.
if Medina County changes minds, we can help you guys after all, the city could elect to go ahead and do it that way and not run it itself. They can go ahead and enter into an agreement with Medina County to run the election, let's say, for example. Or proceed with hiring personnel from Atascosa County, sounds like
Okay.
they go ahead and run the election.
Yeah, I stated this would be my first time going through this, so.
Yes, it's kind of opaque, it's not real easy. I mean, it's a very complicated, state law to comply with, so. But this is the first step, is to get the resolution to announce the election and set the overall dates.
Thank you.
Michael, just so you know, under the state law and definition of responsibilities of the city secretary
Right.
in our local city secretary is tasked at doing the elections.
Right, that was in our description. for the
Right,
job.
right. So that's in state law, and then we wrote it into our job description because it's in state law. And the when and the where, I guess we're gonna run it back here, right? Where we ran before. Now, your question about does it need to be approved by the city council?
Well, I mean, we still have to have an elections judge, for example. We need to, I don't want to really get into it right now, but I mean, what's the process and so forth. I understand it's going to come in the future.
Yes, that comes later.
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
that there'll have to be an agreement to hire
Right.
either, you have to have judges and the staff. to do
Right.
it.
Yeah, and that was my concern. So,
Yes,
yeah.
that comes later.
So I agree. I understand. It's going to come in the future. Thank you.
Yes,
And
sir.
our
No,
county
good
elections
comment.
officials, Janice Ruppel down in Jordan, she's real good local, so she'll help us get the people we need.
Okay.
All right. Okay. Any other comments? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you. Appreciate it, council. All right. Let's see. Okay. E, let's go and consider and act on declaring two city-owned cat kennels as surplus property and authorizing and directing the city administrator to seek donations of kennels to other city and/or soliciting public bids for the sale of the kennels.
So our animal control director reached out and said that he's got 2 cat kennels that he no longer needs out there. And he would like to see if there's another city that would want them. They're still usable and have some value to them. So that's what this would authorize tonight. If you want, we can go ahead and seek out if there's anybody else, another municipality that needs a cat kennel. And then it would allow us to transfer ownership from us to them. And if there is none, then it allows us to either solicit for bids for them, or we can put them in a forthcoming auction.
You give it all the cats you had?
Yeah, these were actually donated from the San Antonio Humane Society. Is how I got them.
Santi, when you walk into the facility, which ones are these?
It's the main one. When we walk in, is one.
The ones right there as soon as you walk in?
Yes.
Okay.
We have one still in there, but
Mhm.
that one's gone, and then just in our cattery, just that
Yeah.
it opens it up more.
Yeah, because you got the one on the right-hand side, right? And then you that. Okay. Yeah. Really good.
So is our facility limited on space? Is that why we're getting? rid of
Yes,
these?
we are limited on space out there, but from what I gathered, that gets me. I'm working with staff on trying to reduce the number so the office area becomes the office area, not an overflow.
I know, I've been in there.
So that's all we're working on. And as we can reduce that number, if we don't need the kennels any longer, there's no use for us anymore. It'd be good if we can do what we had done and donate them to somebody else that could use them.
So these units can become obsolete after a given time.
Oh, yeah, I'm assuming vacuum kennels become old and not usable after time, right?
Okay.
I was gonna say, it was like 200 cats in
What's the value on these kennels?
What do you think they're worth, something? They were
don't know.
donated to the city.
They were donated to us, so I'm not sure the value on this.
But the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna try to find other municipalities that
Other
maybe,
municipalities in need of kennels too, just like we were in need whenever we got them. And if not, then I'll do some research and determine if it's best we sell them and try to take solicit bids, or if it's better we hold them for an auction.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion. I move that we authorize the direct city administrator to seek donation of kennels to another city and or soliciting public bids for the sale of the kennels.
okay, thank you. Got a motion on the floor?
I'll second that motion.
Second? Okay. Any further discussion on this? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that. Okay, we're doing good. Let's go and keep going on. F, consider and act upon whether the city should proceed in negotiating an agreement with Lytle Farm subdivision to have the city agree to take on the financial costs for the operation and maintenance of streetlights in the Lytle Farm subdivision.
So council, I was approached by the engineer for the project, wanted me to sign a letter saying that the city would take on the financial responsibility for 14 streetlights in that just new phase 1 subdivision. So that's why it's before you tonight. I had some reservations about it, so I reached out to the other developments, the other 2 subdivisions, and asked them what they did, because I haven't seen this from any of them. It's not uncommon for a city to pay for streetlights. But I can tell you, like my subdivision where I live, HOA fees cover streetlight stuff like that. The other 2 developers said that they are wrapping up streetlights into their HOA fees, and that's just kind of how they do things. It's what the council wants to do. If we continue on this road, I tried to get the best prices I could. I couldn't get a hold of our CPS person, never responded to me, but and look at some agreements that I was able to find where the city of San Antonio transitioned from regular to LED streetlights, what these would be. They're running about $20 a month and just power back to the city. So if we're not careful before too long, if we start taking on streetlights in all the subdivisions, when they have a tool to hopefully cover those costs with their HOA fees, before too long, we'll be spending a bunch of money in just streetlights in subdivisions. Not saying that's wrong, but if we take on these, I would imagine the next 2 would be right down the door saying, hey, by the way, take on ours too, kind of thing. I don't disagree with the way we do it now. You know, most people don't have an HOA to collect dues, to pay for things, so we take on a lot of those streetlights. It's just however the council wants to move forward. It would be my opinion that we allow the developer to cover those with their HOA fees.
Doesn't a lot of farms have a PID?
Yes, that will be coming up soon. They just sent all the documents today on an amended PID agreement. This is the only one that has a PID. The other 2,
Shouldn't be street lights be covered in that PID?
They often are.
they are the installation of them, but not the monthly cost of them.
That's right, that's usually either turned over to the city as part of the street in overall repair, or the HOA will maintain the streetlights and pay for the electrical costs.
I mean, but these are hypothetical streetlights. They don't even exist. It's still a field right now. I mean,
But I guess,
have they broke ground out there?
no, I'm here in the next couple weeks, maybe. Like I said, we just got the PID documents today. I still got to work with legal, getting all that reviewed and worked up before we bring it before council for consideration.
We're not paying for Saddle Ridge lights, right?
No, I talked to the engineers at Saddle Ridge, and they said no. Saddle Ridge nor Rosewood Estates. Both of those, they've already signed these letters and sent them back to CPS Energy saying, bill them to this account, we're paying for those.
So in previous meetings, we discussed there was a responsibility of the subdivisions, the contractors, the builders, to put these in, to do the pavement, the curbs and so forth. But now we're talking about actually paying for the electricity to.
Yes, sir. The monthly cost every month to the power.
And
that
we
goes to
had
that.
never had that discussion.
We
At
haven't
least
had
I
that
couldn't
dis-
find it.
No, I haven't had that discussion with any of them, and nor has anybody else requested those. The only one we get is from time to time, we have a resident saying, hey, I live at 1234 Main Street, would like a street light in front of my house. council considers that, you could approve that. But they don't really have any other means to pay for it. You know, it's not like there's another HOA that can pay for it. These are HOAs that collect dues from the people that are gonna live there, and then they use those HOA fees for something,
And
amenities.
if they don't have an HOA?
If
They don't have any type of organization and it's a new subdivision, they've already did all their work. How does, Jesse, how do lights normally get paid?
Well,
If not by the
yes,
city.
You know, typically, if it's a non-subdivision development, then the city owns the streets.
Yes, sir.
That's right. And so the city may elect for public health and safety purposes that, you know, and sometimes at the request of a resident, will say that we think that this intersection needs lighting for safety purposes or whatever reason the city can then consider it, and then the city would pay to install the light and then pay for the electrical costs and the maintenance of the light, you know, replacing the ballast,
Right.
the poles, things like that. So all of those things, the city would then take off. But typically in a residential subdivision, the streets, the lights, all the utilities are all constructed by the developer. And usually with regard to the streets itself will sometimes be turned over to the city. They'll be dedicated after the street's constructed. The lights themselves sometimes are often, it sounds like, are retained by the developer. And then the HOA will then assume that cost of maintaining the poles, the ballast, and paying for the ongoing electrical costs and usage. And then so the HOA fees and those residents do that. But in non-subdivision areas, it's more at the discretion of the city. It's more of a general health and safety kind of thing in terms of whether they want to install additional streetlights and then pay for the cost of maintaining and operating.
So are we simply saying that if they have an HOA, then the HOA pays for it? If they don't, the city pays for it? Does it come down to that?
We're gonna tell them, if the
I mean, I know
council
that's the
said,
question
no,
for
we don't wanna
tonight.
pay for these, we're telling them the council's not interested in paying for the electricity
Right.
and the street lights monthly. You're gonna have to figure that out another way. The developer pays for it, they pass it on in the HOA fee. I don't know how they do it.
But that's my question. Is it simply put that if the subdivision has an HOA, the HOA pays for it? If they don't, then the city pays.
They also have more discretion, right? Because the HOA can then decide how much lighting they want.
Right.
You know, there are certain minimum standards that the city may have
Go-
as part of the subdivision lighting requirements. But generally, they would then be, you know, if the light is out, the service levels that they get in terms of the light, the ballast being replaced, if it's damaged in a storm, when it's being repaired, all of that is subject to the HOA's funding and their ability to pay. So the service level will be different than say, if it's just on a regular city street.
Right.
It would fall into the general public works budget and the funds that are available to pay for that. So the service levels may be different. So the lighting levels may be different. You may have more lighting in an HOA, you know, in a subdivision, they may want more lighting for in that area versus say the general subdivision areas of the city. It may be more, you know, maybe less densely developed, so the lighting may be more.
So how do we word that without you having to go into a discussion with them? It's simply straightforward.
You just, on this one, you just say that the city does not want to take on the cost of the streetlights in the Lytle Farm subdivision. And I would.
But
send an
then
email.
we're just talking about Lytle Farm. I'm talking about being more general and stating
That would have to
that.
be a different,
Yeah, we would have
Action
to
item.
handle that differently.
What's
Okay.
happening is part of the
Tonight.
planning requirement, right?
Okay.
So as they're going through their planning and development, they're having to then establish who with CPS, who's going to be paying for
Right.
the cost of that. So the developer is now asking whose name is going to be on the account.
For this
Name.
specific
we're-
motion.
So that's the only reason the question has come up, is what
Okay.
the developer
So-
did.
we're kind of setting a
Yeah,
precedent.
so then
with
to answer
this.
your question for the future, then we need to move forward on that. That's
If
all.
we want to do something
Yes.
larger scale, that way it's already in black and white form, yes.
Yes.
But this would be for
Yeah,
this
for
subdivision.
tonight it's just for the Lytle Farms.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that we take no action on this item at this time.
Okay, got a motion for us to take no action at this time? Okay, got a second? Okay, further discussion on that? All those in favor? Aye. Okay. Those two? Okay. All those not in favor?
Nay.
Okay. So that was aye. You're not? Okay.
I'm an aye.
Okay, so 3, no action, nays, 2. Okay, motion carries forward with no action on this item at this time. All right. Let's go ahead and move on to G, and we're going to consider an act upon the renewal of the certificates of deposit at Lidle State Bank valued at $131,177 with 45 cents.
Did I go back? I still have a phone. So what does that mean if we're gonna table it? Are you
Took no
gonna?
action. I just tell them the council took no action on it.
I know,
They'll
but
have
we
to-
need to address this for the future. We need to come up with some type
Nope.
of statement that
We
says,
can work on an action item. I
Yeah,
can
no
work on an
action item
in the
means-
next
yeah.
meeting.
right, so I guess I'm asking you, is that motion gonna be, is that gonna be brought forward in the next council? meeting?
Yes, if that's what you want, I can
Yeah.
bring, I can work with
Yeah.
legal and have one brought forward.
No action means that we just go ahead
Just
and,
taking no action on
yeah,
that.
if we tabled it, then it would be a different, so, but this
Right.
one is a no action, so we will bring it forward.
Okay, so that is the plan. You're gonna put
I
something
can work with
together?
legal then at the next meeting for
Okay.
an overall answer on.
I just don't want this to just disappear and,
Michael, by agreeing to pay for their lights, that sets a precedent that every other subdivision is gonna want us to pay for their lights.
right,
So, we gotta be careful, otherwise we're gonna be on the hook for $50,000 of lights a month.
exactly.
If not more, yeah.
That's
We
why,
can be-
yeah, that's why I want to make sure that we spell that out.
I can work with legal on the next agenda item.
Great, thank you.
Next agenda.
Right, okay, let's go ahead and continue on with G.
So council, backstory on this one, we got notified by the bank that we needed to renew the CD. It was time to renew it. Yada, yada, yada. In researching the CD, we couldn't find it on our online banking system with the bank. It's very interesting. So when we started asking them,
Oh, wait a minute, wait, it is in the system, it is accounted for.
yes,
It's just not showing
it's
up.
not in our
I know
online
that
banking
it
system.
knew this money was there, it's just not showing up on the Lidle State Bank stuff.
Okay. So when we're looking at this daily basis, if we log into our bank account, this one wasn't appearing. Okay. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know it was there. So then we asked Lynette and we found it. She was able to pull a hard copy for us. We knew, she knew it was there. I didn't see it. They're working on getting that corrected and it will appear. So this is two different things. When I read this one, it says Community Center Fund. And we actually have a second CD. It's that's the 1 year, from the Wanyura family that was given to the city years and years ago, that they started the CD. It was specifically, from everything I can recall, that was only for the maintenance and upkeep of the community center. So this one for 131, 177 is kind of free to what the council wants to do. I don't really have any earmarks for it at this moment, so it'd be my recommendation that we just renew the CD. We don't have any penalty if we decided 2 months from now to liquidate it. There is no penalty for any CDs being liquidated. So none of the CDs pay very much.
All we're asking is just to renew it.
Yeah, we just renew it, gets a new account number, and it is already in our system.
Council?
The bank verified that the money is sitting in the bank, right?
Yeah. Yeah, they knew all about it. It's just in the online banking system that I log into to look at, I didn't see this one. And that brought up the concern.
You should have heard him in his office.
I was already on the bank on what other accounts we may have that I was ready to go over there and start searching through their records.
Mayor, I move that we renew the certificate of deposit, Lyle State Bank valued at $131,000, $131,177.45.
Okay, got a motion on the floor for us to renew?
Second.
Second? Okay. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Second. Okay.
Barely, just barely.
Okay. Any opposed? Just to make sure? Okay. Thank you so much. Motion carries forward. Okay, let's go ahead and continue on. H, consider an act upon authorizing the city administrator to execute an agreement with GT Distributors for the trade-in and exchange of certain Lidle Police Department firearms and attachments.
I'll let Sergeant Lopez brief on this one real quick, and I'll be here if there's additional questions, because he did the majority of this one.
Sorry, I didn't get y'all copies of this. This kind of came in last minute. Matt kind of put it on the agenda last minute too, which was good. Because we only got 30 days to try to get this executed. But basically, we're going to trade in, attempt to trade in 47 firearms that we've either bought or seized over some of the oldest firearms we've seized are probably since from like the late 80s. they were awarded to us in the early 90s, so I'd imagine they were seasonal late fees. It's going to basically be, it's going to cover the cost of 14 brand new Glock 17s. And it's also going to give us 14 Holosun miniature reflex sights on those. We're switching from 40 cal to 9 for basically, you'll be able to carry more ammo on you. Plus, they're a little bit more accurate. Ammo's easier to find for the 9mm as well. So we basically want to trade in all of our duty guns and some of the guns that we siege and stuff for 14 Glock 17s and Holosuns.
So what this does, counsel, is GT's, he sends them serial numbers and photographs of every gun. They will give an estimate based off of that project. It's like a car, right? I sent you a picture of my car. I think it's worth this. They're not going to give us 100% until they get it in. Once they get it in and they can actually look at it, then they can determine, hey, we think it's right on. We think it's worth a little more or a little less. In the end, we still have a credit. With trading in all the weapons, there will still be a credit there. We're able to upgrade all the police department weapons with a couple extra at no cost to the city. And it's really about the only thing we can do with firearms. We can't legally go out and resell these firearms. We can trade them into another firearms dealer, which is what GT's is. And they've got the contract with Glock on the buy board that tries all buy boards. So on buy boards, we can get the newer weapons, brand new updated. It was things we were talking about budgeting for anyways. Now we don't have to budget for it.
So I only sent them a sheet that had 45 of the guns. There was 2 more that we found later on. So, and those should give us another, I'm guessing, probably another 400 a piece. So right now we're in the green about $674.50. That's going to cover all costs of everything. So they're going to credit us that. That's going to pay for possibly some ammo and some holsters for the new guns. Because the ones we have now, they're not able to carry the gun with the actual reflex on it. So we'd have to get whole new holsters and everything with it. But Chief wanted me to let y'all know that we still do, even if it's a little bit more, we still do have money in our budget to cover the cost of the ammunition and the holsters if we had to.
All right. Mayor, let me get this started. I want to make a motion authorizing city administrator to execute an agreement with GT Distributors for the trade-in and exchange of certain Laredo Police Department firearms and attachments.
Okay, got a motion on the floor. Got a second? Okay, further discussion on this? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thanks, David. Appreciate it, Matt. Definitely a good opportunity for us to take advantage. Be able to get ourselves updated. All right, let's go ahead and move on. Still doing good on time. Update and discuss proposed recreational vehicle ordinance.
Jesse's going to load a PowerPoint. I'll brief real quick on it. We've been working on this for a little while. We did it right before the holidays, and we kind of lost some steam during holidays. Now we're back. And our attorney will lead us on some different options we have. What we're talking about, and Jesse, correct me if I get wrong here, we are not, storage-wise, we're not going to talk about limiting storage in the residential area. What you're talking about is the commercial area, the storage, and when you can store it, how you can store it kind of thing, and then the actual use of an RV is what we're talking about, mainly. Okay?
Right, okay, go ahead. Thanks.
Oh, wait, she's got it. Oh, she's got a picture presented. You got to sign it for a second. Oh, really?
All right. Okay, very good. Okay, just background. As Matt explained, we're talking about recreational vehicles, and what I wanted to do for background is what we're primarily concerned about is recreational vehicles as they relate to residential dwelling type uses, right? So this is sort of a summary of your existing zoning code, right? So you have 3 types of residential districts in your zoning code. R1, which for single family. R2 is for everything that's in R1, that's for single family, plus duplexes, apartments, and boarding houses. That's in R2. And R3 is your manufacturing home district. So everything that's in R2 which is, again, everything in R2 and R1, and then manufactured home parks. That's all of your residential type uses. And then in your business and industrial district, so you have B1, which of course is everything that's in R2, which is going to be your duplex and apartments. Your B2, which is your secondary business district, which is B1 uses, trailer camp or mobile home park. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then central business district is your B3. And Councilman Emery, you asked earlier what B3 was. B3 is your central business district, and it's everything in B2 uses, right? In terms of residential type uses, and in industrial district, you're not allowed any residential dwellings. Sorry. So one of the things that we're looking at doing in the proposed RV ordinance is adding a definition for recreational vehicles. There is no definition for it right now. RVs are not technically allowed in residential districts for residential dwelling purposes, right? It's not, you can't roll an RV onto a residential lot and say that this is the residential dwelling. It's not a permitted use. It's not a single family home. It's not a duplex. It's not an apartment. It's not a boarding home, that kind of thing. But for clarity, we could certainly add the definition for recreational vehicles to the code. There are definitions for trailers and mobile homes, but they don't really fit for RVs. That's all the wording. So what I was looking for is just general direction from the council on how to proceed in drafting the ordinance, because one idea that we were talking about was originally specifically talking about the B3 Central Business District and specifically restricting RV uses in the district only as part of an overlay zone. But as Councilmember Kate pointed out earlier, rezoning requires notices to all the property owners within 200 feet. So you would be rezoning actual property, sending notices out to all of these property owners and notifying them. I think it's kind of hard to do right now. So my suggestion would be that we instead not rezone property, but just amend the code only, just not rezoning property. That's just, the council can do that. Go ahead and send it to the Planning and Zoning Commission for their review and recommendation, and then submit their recommendation to council. But that's different. We don't have to go and actually notify landowners, because we're not actually changing the zoning of the property. We're only changing the zoning code to specifically add a definition for recreational vehicles to the code. And then one idea that I was talking to Matt about was specifically, do we want one approach, because RVs are not actually allowed in residential districts. They're not allowed specifically as for residential dwellings in business districts either, as to add a general prohibition for RVs as a dwelling, a commercial office, or a business. You can't run a restaurant out of it. You can't run a shop out of it. You can't run a home office out of it. And so those would be, but then you would include exceptions for RV parking on residential lots. So you could do that. You could go ahead and park or store your RV in a residential area. But you can't park it like on the front lawn or in the side yard. So it had to be in a driveway or some paved surface. And then perhaps allow for temporary use permits, so that if a friend or a relative is visiting, they can kind of live in it for the few days that they're visiting. So that would be kind of a temporary kind of dwelling permit, if you will. And then, of course, it would not apply to any businesses that are involved in the retail or wholesale sale of RVs. So if Camping World wanted to build a dealership and within the city, they could do that. This provision wouldn't apply to that. Another potential idea would be to specifically prohibit RV parking, because they're often bigger and they don't fit in the parking spots on city streets unless it's in specifically designated areas for oversized vehicles. That's one idea, but I wanted to float those ideas to get some general direction from the council to see if that's how you wanted to proceed with the proposed ordinance before I spent more time drafting it.
And in the past, Jesse, we've talked about, in the sense of the residential, we want to give the residents some flexibility, and with the exception of it becoming residential, in other words, being the primary residential thing.
Correct.
So please consider that as part of the consideration, because I don't think we really want to. The main objective out of this and the discussions that we had in the past is just to try to make sure that we protect the commercial areas where we don't have people storing their RVs, who are actually using their RVs in the commercial areas. So,
Right, so the one provision would be that there's a general prohibition for as a dwelling, as a commercial office or a business, but then there are exceptions, right? So you could do RV parking on a residential lot, so that would be storage versus parking gets kind of blurring. So is it just parked there now, or is it really stored there now? That's why it just generally you talk about parking, so you're allowed to park it, but you have to park it in a permitted location. They can't park it on the front yard or the side yard
yeah.
of the
I
lots.
think we got to be real careful because some of our properties are laid out differently. And I don't want us to put that on our residents to try to figure out. So,
Well, we don't have driveways.
yeah, we don't have, depending on where they lay out. So I really want us to concentrate more on the focus for the commercial. We've had that in the past where folks can actually, and I think we've had people that come over and ask for a permit or something along those lines. So we definitely want to keep that option. We have people that come in and they're setting up business or a construction site and they ask, we give them a permit. They're in a commercial area, but we already know that it's not going to be it's going to be sitting there for a long period of time.
Okay.
It's just based on that. So that's my input.
Yeah.
Council.
No.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think we need to get to a point where we're demanding that property owners who want to store their RV have to pave a portion of their lot to put it in. If the ground is stable and they can put gravel down or cement blocks to put on the wheels, as long as it's not unsightly, I don't think we should be demanding that they pave anything to do this.
Okay.
So I think the wording needs to be, something along the line that doesn't block traffic flow or maybe doesn't inhibit neighbors' view or something like that.
We have had folks in the past that are either remodeling or building a house or something like that, and they've come to council and asked for a permit. I think that's a good thing. So it is their residential place while they're doing what they're doing. So I think it's good to give them that flexibility too.
Right, so the distinction would be like if it's just parked, like means no one's in it, it's just parked, so stored essentially for a long-term parked there versus it's serving as a dwelling. You actually are living in it. And so what I'm thinking is that the ordinance would include provision for some type of permitting for that. That's where the permit would be required.
We already
Otherwise-
have that in the city, the requirement.
We found the form online, but if you go into our ordinances, I can't find.
Yeah, there's no
the
ordinance for it.
along with that problem.
So
we don't have an
I'll be
ordinance.
backfilling
And
that
that's
in.
what we were working on last year.
Yes, so I'll be
All right,
backfilling
so
that in.
that will be in this?
Yeah, so that would be among the things to fill in.
Sure.
We're kind of catching up the code to what's kind of
Sure,
happening.
and you'll make the distinction in the wording that if it's just stored to avoid paying, these guys who are gonna build this place across the highway, $75 a month just to park your RV, people wanna have it at their home. So there needs to be some distinction in the wording that you can store it and then have to have a permit to use it. Right.
Yes, to actually, use it as
To use it
a
for
temporary dwelling.
A specific period of time, a limited
Yes.
period of time, yeah.
Some cities prohibit RV parking or camping in municipal parks as well. I don't know if you have any thought. I didn't put it on the slide because it really was not what we were talking about. But I
I
don't
think
know.
we wanted, I don't know, we've had past discussions about different events and stuff.
Well, we don't really have room to park an RV at our park anyways. I mean, I was thinking, I want to go camp with my family, I'm going to go park in a lot of, municipal park and camp overnight, We don't really have facilities and the ability to do that. But let's say we passed an ordinance that it was prohibited. If we had a special event, the council can allow it for that event.
Again, that would be temporary, kind of it was more of an exception, but generally,
Part of the.
if you're
temporary
patrolling
permit.
around and there's an RV, somebody decided just to pull over and park in the park, it's generally not allowed. Similarly on streets, any thoughts on parking on city streets? Usually there's a lot of cities, but the issue is that the RVs are wider and they'll interfere with traffic flow.
I don't think we have room on any city street for an
We
RV.
don't.
So, I mean, I would say the whole, not just the street itself, but the right of way, because a lot of our roads, they don't encompass the entire right of way. It's 30 feet and the right of way is actually 50, but I think it's just a safety hazard ultimately.
Right. And so the exception would only be for where there's certain designated parking areas. So if there was some type of development where they had, they kind of essentially widened the street in that area to create, long and wide parking spots. I could see that for certain oversized
But
vehicles.
if you see anything else in other municipal, Jesse, if you're looking at other places, bring it forward when we look at, talk to Matt, and then if it looks like something, and I know with Super Skip, knowing this area, well, we can bounce it off of him and kind of tailor it and then bring it back to the council for consideration as a final product.
Yes,
I agree with Mr. Kane. We need to try to keep it on their property because our roads don't really have a whole lot.
correct.
Council, anything else? All right. Jesse, thank you so much. I don't think we need any kind of action on this one,
No,
right?
I just wanted to, but
We really appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, I think we can cover one more before, let's see, 1, 2, we can probably press if you guys would like to. Let's go ahead and go to J, update and discuss on violation notice from Texas Commission for Environmental Quality regarding cities need to complete mandatory water quality testing for lead and copper.
Council, I'll start this, and then our public works director is here to brief me if I get anything wrong here. The city was sent a letter for a violation. We were supposed to do, every three years, you're supposed to do these tests, and we're supposed to do 20. We put a new well online, so TCEQ said, hey, we need you to do 40 because we need to see how that new water is interacting with these certain, it's not just any home, it's a certain type of home built before 1985, right? So we already had 20 sites approved where we took bottles out, and there's a certain criteria on when they are supposed to collect that sample. So we were working on getting 20 more identified. We got some of those identified, but unfortunately, we didn't get the test, all 40 tests done in the time limit required. So officially, we got sent a notice of violation. And working with TCEQ, I sent that notice out publicly to everybody in the paper, all of our websites posted here. And our remediation is to get those 40 samples in before May of 23. I've already worked with our public works director and ultimately our foreman. We could have got some of these done. I mean, but still, would have still been in violation, but it would have been able to say we got 20 versus none. Unfortunately, we got none done. So we're working on it. We'll get it completed. Once we get it completed, we're back in compliance with it.
Okay.
Other than the slap on the wrist letter. there's no
Yeah, I mean, they're never good to
consequences
get.
for it.
Yeah, we're not trying to get any slap on the wrist
We
anymore,
definitely need
but
to take care of this. I know
we're working on it.
We talked about it in the fall. So we need to make sure that we knock this out.
Yes.
So
we have-
James, you said it's every 3 years. So the last time that we had these samples that were submitted just for the 20, everything came back negative. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I just want the council and public to know that, the last time that we did it, it was negative. So it's not like we're doing it because they found something or anything like that. This is just basically the requirement based on the well and the normal procedures that we need to do. So I don't want our folks to actually worry about stuff. We're going to go ahead and take
And I believe we've got the other 20 locations already identified. We're in the process of getting the other 20 approved. I think we got some approved, but we're trying to get extra. We're trying to get about 65 or 70 locations approved. Because again, there's a system, I got to drop it off. It's got to be the very first flow out of your faucet. And, if I drop one off at your house there and you don't give it to me the next morning, I got to have the backup for you. So I'd rather collect 50 or 60 samples and only need 40. We can work on.
So was it the additional 20 that got us in trouble?
Yes and no. Yes. I mean, the additional 20
Okay.
did get us in trouble.
Hold on. Just a reminder for our council that we're not supposed to be using our cell phones right now. Just make sure that we pay our close attention to what we actually have on target with discussion. So I appreciate that.
So yes, there was an additional 20 that got added, but we didn't get even 20 of the 40 done. We didn't get any done, unfortunately. It just got away from us and it just didn't happen.
So what kind of system do we have in place that reminds us?
I'll let James speak to that. This is all new to me and I'm just working through this one with them. I've got our next item already on the calendar that we're working through.
So the question is, what do we have in place? What type of system do we have in place that reminds the city that these particular tests are due?
But they surprised us when they added
20 to it.
Right.
The new 20 have to be approved by them before we can do it. And then you have to find people that will go. We've had people reject bottles, they told us they don't want the bottles. So we have to find 20. It kind of surprised me, they added for additional 20.
So, but
20 bottles.
if we look back at, let's say, just a normal sample of 20, what is there software that reminds us? Is there a calendar? What is in place that reminds the city that these are due at a certain time?
3 years.
I know, but
No,
is
we
there?
don't-
No,
To answer your question, we don't have software, we don't have anything. It's just off our head, we just remember and they send us notification.
well, this one's different because we have a new well. and
No,
apparently
yeah,
one-
I understand that probably had a lot to do with that.
Yeah.
Is there systems that are available that can help with this?
I'm sure there's software for everything. I'm sure we can see what we can look at.
Maybe?
I don't disagree with you, sir.
There should be
anything.
something in place that says,
I'm already on the next, not only this one that we're gonna get done by May, but we've got another real big one that is a huge one that I've already got them working on that we need to already start on it. Because if we wait till the last minute for it, something's always gonna happen.
yes.
And we're not gonna get it done. If you knew anything about me I would rather start it early and have it completed long before it was ever due.
So I would like to say that I understand with the new administration, there's a lot of stuff that's gonna come up. I understand that. I just want to make sure that we do have something in place. Are you looking at some type of vehicle that says these items are due by this date?
Yes, sir. We'll work on it. I can tell you this was not an administration error. This is a issue that happened in Public Works. I didn't know about it until we received the notice. And that's when I got on it. We began working on it. And now we'll get it completed by May.
Right.
I met with our guys. We have timelines on the majority of our projects out there on when things are getting completed. And we're going to update those regularly now to keep us on track.
If there's, again, whether it be a big calendar or whatever, something needs to be out there that
Yes, sir.
assists.
Well, Matt and I are using, or trying to get employees to use calendars more, which wasn't really happening in the beginning. So things are evolving, I'll use that word, it's just slow.
Like on
Cool.
MS 365, that
Yes,
type of
sir.
calendar? Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And I'm
would-
working, I need to
yes.
work with Public Works to know this is due by this time. It's all new to me and I'm
Yes, sir.
trying to get a handle on everybody's task versus just mine.
Thank you.
Anything else, council? We're right at a minute till 8 o'clock. We normally take a quick 5-minute break right now. Is there anything else, Matt, on this item we need to talk about? Okay, so I appreciate the update. James, just take care of business. It'll be good. We'll go ahead and report some very good results here in the next few months, and then we don't need to worry about it. And just go ahead and press on with that. Okay, Ola, let's go ahead and show. It's 7:59 right now. Let's go ahead and take a quick 5-minute break, and we'll come back and finish up. We only have one more item, and then we got a few things. I don't know if we have legal, so. as we get the system back up and running, I'll just go ahead and do a quick little update that I got right now. So the boys basketball team actually won 78-35, so they went undefeated. And the girls won 87-30. So they move on with their area play in Seguin this Friday. We'll talk a little bit more just to let you know. Both of them successful, so that's good things for Pirates.
Seguin?
Yes. Yep. Some more details to come. We'll get some more stuff. All right. Thank you so much, Council. I know it's a quick one, just so we can go ahead and proceed. Let's go ahead and move on to K, update and discussion regarding developmental project on the property located at 1480 block of Main Street, Lytle, Texas. We got Colin here. Go ahead and brief us. We've seen a few things. People are asking questions, so it's very important our council to be informed of what's going on out there, kind of see his vision and different things that he's proposing to go ahead and do that. So, Colin, I'll go ahead and turn it over to you.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Council. Tonight I am here to kind of brief you guys on my plans for the upcoming Lytle Food Truck Park and Coffee Shop that's going to be occurring on Main Street. I believe each of you have a hard copy of what I'm looking at.
Can we put it up on here too?
So I do not have a presentation put together tonight, just kind of, no script here. I'll give you a quick overview of what it is, what you're looking at, and then answer any questions, concerns, anything that you want to go over. There's Hurley's. There we go. Okay, so this right here it's a rough sketch of the coffee shop and food truck park. Main Street's on the right-hand side. The small white building is going to be around a 600 square foot drive-through coffee shop. There will be no indoor seating. It'll be strictly for drive-through and walk-up ordering. The larger area, that's going to be a food truck park with the artificial green turf space for kids and family members to kind of hang out, socialize while they eat some great food, hopefully, that I'm working on putting together. Picnic tables, shade structures. Picnic, yeah.
Your mouth's happy? I just see Colin going.
That excited. That's what I think. Yeah, so the site's going to have picnic tables, shade structures, misting vents. There will be a small little stage. I think eventually that will be an area for small acoustics, something light. The overall theme for this park is to be a family location. So this is not a place that I want to turn into any type of nightlife. I do intend to be filing with TABC to sell beer and wine. I have a really cool Airstream trailer that's been converted from Street Fair San Antonio, which a few years ago was the #1 food truck park in San Antonio. They since closed their doors. I purchased all their equipment and am in the process of bringing it to Lytle. So it's been done really, really well. It looks really, really nice. Today, as you drive down Main Street, you will see some gray shipping containers that have been modified into his and her bathrooms, a dry storage, climate control storage. They look really rough. They're primer gray. So I know you probably have seen that. It's my intentions to do either a wrap or a paint job. So the vision for me is as you exit 35 and come down Main Street, is to try to start bringing life to Main Street. So my vision of that, we need color. We need things that stand out and look good. Part of some of the principles of placemaking that I've studied is that we need to help create a destination for Lytle. And to my knowledge, we don't really have a place for the community to get together, to hang out, to socialize. And this is going to be, in my opinion, the place to do it. So with that, I'd like to ask or answer any questions that you may have.
Can I make a comment real
Yes.
quick? So
Yes.
just for the council, just so you have an idea, if you go right now, you'll see these containers that are kind of
yes.
like right here. But just so you know, that's not the permanent, that's as he actually puts stuff together. Eventually, they're gonna be back here. So it's gonna be all
That's
lined up
correct.
and put together. Is that correct, Ron?
Yeah, so
Where's that located?
This is right across from the church, right over here, and this is the.
The Hurley's.
Hurley's Funeral.
It's
Oh,
now
okay.
Primrose,
Primrose.
right?
Oh.
Yeah, I gotta get used to the new
Wow,
names. It's
okay.
Primrose. So it's right here. So it's just so you kind of have an idea. But right now you'll see them like right here.
Yep.
That doesn't mean they're gonna be there. They're just.
They're in a temporary location because we're still working through with my architect on the construction documents, and the crane had limitations on how it could travel on soil. That was the safest place for us to put it. So once we get the architectural plans put together, they get approved, that's when we'll move them to their permanent home. The smaller white squares that run the perimeter near the easement, those are just symbolizing where food trucks could park. I'm probably going to be making 7 pads for trucks to park. There's a lot more than that. I think something in that area.
Colin, can you touch on, I think now you have your entrance coming off that easement road. That's
Yes,
changing, correct? And then
that
as
is.
far as the amount of, your whole project shows a lot of asphalt for a parking lot, what your intentions are there initially?
Okay, so that easement it's been a complication. There was some issues in the survey. The easement that runs from Main Street, yes. So the easement that runs from Main Street extends to AutoZone and CVS. We've been trying to negotiate with the owners of that. They did not want to participate. And so we are now creating an access point that will come off of Main Street. So we're going to be working with TxDOT, and that will go into where the coffee shop area is. I do not have an updated site plan yet, but I guess there will be an access point to the coffee shop drive-through, and then it'll extend towards the back where the parking will be. The asphalt will be asphalting the front portion where the coffee shop is, and then that will kind of fade into some type of chip and seal base towards the back where the parking will be. What else? Did I cover that, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay. Anything else significant with that?
And just because no construction permits have been issued yet.
Yeah.
Still gotta submit for permits and everything to the city.
This is purely concept. This is just brainstorming. We'll start tightening this up as we kind of move
So
along.
Colin, when are you shooting
All
for?
for it.
The end of the year?
No, I mean, I'm hoping, I think it'll be 8 weeks before the architect finalizes what they need to do. And then it'll just be the actual process through the city, the development process. And construction timeline, I don't think it'll take that long. I've already been talking to the electrical and plumbing. So maybe May, June, if
So
everything.
you're looking for the summer?
Summertime, yeah. I think if we hit everything just right, that needs to be like a realistic timeline. I've already been granted funding for this through Broadway State Bank, who I use. So everything's just a matter of getting it right, making sure that we do it the right way. I could expand the artificial turf. To me, I like the artificial turf square. I think it allows for kind of a 4 seasons location for kids to play. And that's what this is really built around, is for families to come and enjoy their time. So I may expand that, but that'll be, I guess, flushed out over time.
You can't tell from this, you have a privacy fence of some sort between your property and the eyesore next to you?
Glad-
Not the funeral home.
Glad you said that. Yes, there is a part of it's privacy fence. The rest of it is not. And I think the fence is actually falling down now. I don't know if they're taking it down or if it's falling down. That's something I'll have to work out. I don't know if there's going to be any pushback from the owners of that property on that. That'll be, I guess, TBD.
But you could put your own fence next to
Absolutely.
whatever they have there.
Absolutely,
I
yeah.
know with
If I would buy that place if I could, it just doesn't make sense.
No,
It's terrible. Yeah, it's an
You
eyesore.
can't put a fence tall enough.
Somebody bought that one.
Yeah, somebody else did, but I don't think anybody's doing.
Yeah, it's getting
Yeah,
bad.
8 or 10 foot fence there should be nice.
Yeah. I've been experimenting or exploring options with some kind of artificial vines just for right now, just to kind of create a green space.
Right.
A large fence would be nice. it's needed for sure.
Because you butt right up to their property.
I do, yeah. Well, and the way the site is built is I believe everything will be viewing that direction anyway. So I'm hoping something happens with that structure soon. It's pretty bad. I was in high school. It was 2002, 2003, I think, when that started getting built, and it's been bad.
Yeah, we've been trying to get somebody to do something about it, but for years.
Yeah, the backstory is interesting, to say the least. Yeah.
If it was a better condition, you could always put a zip line from that building down.
There you
right?
go.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Right?
Yeah, I would love that.
You
I
have
would
a
love
lot of fun with
that.
that
People
one.
might like that.
Project movies up on the side of it.
So I am looking at doing some type of weekly or monthly event, and people have mentioned doing some type of screening. I've got to dig more into that because I guess there's licensing rights that I have to make sure that I follow.
Called copyright.
Yeah.
She knows all about it, right?
Yeah. I think that kind of gives a good broad description of what I'm hoping to do. Everything's I'm in full sprint mode as far as my civil engineers, architects, everyone's doing what they need to be doing at this time. There's a few other design issues that I'm working around, just trying to make sure that we get it right. I think trying to find a way to allow people to be outside during the heat of the year is a big deal. So site planning is challenging. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. Coffee shop wise, because we've moved the access point from the easement to Main Street. We're doing a traffic impact analysis worksheet right now, and there's limitations on the square footage that's allowed based on drive-through and whatever the type of business is going to be put there. So that's something we're working to overcome. So I think that structure will be between 600 and 500 square feet, somewhere in there.
And what's the name of this whole project?
Still coming up with that, and I'm looking for any
And
suggestions.
you're gonna have a sign out front
Yes.
when you're
Yes.
settled on a name for it?
Yeah, to me, I think signage is important, especially as you drive that's the corridor into Main Street. So I think we need to have some really good signage. I do have limitations based on the easement that was negotiated by Crawford's Pharmacy on how I can place that structure. And so I have to be careful on size, shape, and location.
Sure.
Yeah.
Council?
TABC doesn't have a problem with an open area that you're proposing?
I haven't got that far yet. I haven't found anything. I've done a little bit of research. I've just finalized the entity that this will be hosted under. And so I'll be going through the TABC probably starting next week and figure out the left and right limits. But everything that I've read up to date, it seems to be okay.
And then your live stage, have you gotten with the city for ordinances and?
Not yet. Not yet. That's kind of, again, it's kind of concept.
Unplugged or amped?
Haven't got
Whatever
there yet.
whatever
Yeah.
comes out, right?
My intention is it's not to be a concert venue. It's more about just kind of trying to create a nice atmosphere. So I think, there's decibel ordinances that I would probably try to stay within. If not, I would have my own, where I'm not here to try to create a country concert venue by any means.
You're talking like a local artist playing guitar.
Yeah, just something to kind of,
Hey, that's the best kind.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the best
That's how I see it. Just something, people come out, local artists. I'm kicking around brainstorming ideas to see if there's a local artist in the area where we can do some type of, showcase for it. Just trying to start, bringing some type of vibrance to Main Street.
Karaoke night.
I've got some good ideas, and I'll have a little bucket for everyone to drop in suggestions.
Do you have a business-
I won't sing
do you
though.
have a business card with you?
I don't. I did not bring any. No.
Do you have a phone?
Yes.
Do you mind giving it?
Yeah, absolutely. 210-718-9701.
Have you talked to Gabe Garcia? I know.
I haven't yet. It's been a while since I've seen him, but I will be giving him a call. Yeah.
One other thing, Mayor, these trailers, are they not going to be in violation of our trailer manufacturing within the business district?
The modular home or the modular.
We're going to have to make an exception
We can.
because they do fall under our manufactured. Or
But right now,
manufactured.
we we don't have that in place. We're working on them. So if he actually puts them in, I mean, it goes through the norm, what was already approved right now. Now, if it is approved, once it's on there, then yeah, if he had to do any kind of changes in that area, then it would be a thing to deal with, to go ahead and
Okay.
readjust.
Okay.
And that's how it works. So, is that correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah.
Is there a way to get in front of that as far as if we know that ordinance is going to be passed, where we can kind of be working simultaneously so that we are efficient with time?
Well, we're still working on it, so.
Take your time.
So,
It'd probably just be an agenda item to ask for a variance.
Variance to it, okay.
Correct.
Code.
the main thing is that we just kind of take everything into consideration.
Yep.
And be able to do that, but I know in the future, if you can, it'd be good, some of those concept photos and stuff like that, so they kind of have an
Absolutely.
idea of
Yeah.
how the turf and all that stuff is gonna look, you know?
Yeah.
Just so they kind of have an idea. Right now, they see what they see out there and they're trying to picture it.
Yeah, if y'all Google Street Fair San Antonio, that would be a great resource. Social media across the board has Street Fair San Antonio. I'm mostly transplanting it, so it gives you kind of a visual of what to expect. They weren't able to achieve the artificial turf and some other things, but it'll give you a good visual.
And the centerpiece right in the middle of those two, it's an Airstream.
It's awesome.
So,
Yeah, it's really sharp looking.
so take a look at that. But if you have anything you want to send, just send it to Matt, and then Matt will send it out to the council, and that way they have an idea.
Yeah.
Anything else, council? Any other questions?
So I know this has changed quite considerably from what you had originally
Yes.
envisioned for this
Absolutely.
property.
Yeah.
I remember you sent out something probably, I don't know,
8
about
months ago.
9 months ago,
Yep,
something like
yep.
that. So just so I understand, but no permits have been pulled yet for anything? Okay, because I know that, of course, going back to the modular structures, right?
Mhm.
You know, we have stuff on the books already for getting permits. So, I mean, I'd recommend that you get with Paula here and get those issued as soon as possible, because where did those bathrooms come from? The oil field?
No, they were actually manufactured specifically for this event. The city of San Antonio has approved them through their inspections. I have all the inspection stickers for those.
Yeah, I know, because our building inspector needs to take a look at them as well.
Yes, and
So that's what I got right now, though.
Okay.
Just get with Paula to
So
get the right
what
permits.
Colin's working on right now, he's gonna get to, the permits for them as storage buildings, to be able to put on the lot first. And then in the permitting process, I explained to him, he'll have to show us the schematics of the plumbing, the electrical, how everything's getting ran, so that way our inspectors can look at it. Our code compliance, our fire, everybody can look at it before we issue a construction permit.
yes, yes.
Anything else? Colin, we appreciate you stopping by and letting us know.
If y'all have any good names, please use my phone number. Call me. I'm working on it. It's a struggle. I will say, Mayor here, we talked for a little while, and I have great intentions to try to develop Main Street and to really start bringing some life to it. This to me is step number one, and I think the name is a big deal, trying to get it right. I don't want it to be Lytle this or Pirate that, because I believe that these communities are interlinked, that we live around, and so I'm trying to create an all-inclusive environment. So, but thank you, Mayor.
Just one clarifying question.
Yes, sir.
The food trucks that you're anticipating here, are these gonna be not owned by you? These would be someone else who already has a food truck,
Yes.
and they'll rent the pad from you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And with that, I have been working with a few local food truck vendors or operators. I hope to achieve, consistency within 3 or 4 trucks that will be here for the normal population, and then have a rotating lineup. I think it's a big deal to try to bring some of the operators that are in San Antonio. There's some great chefs out there, to start bringing them out to the smaller towns. And so that's one of those things I'm working on coordinating.
Anything else?
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that. Thanks, Matt. Appreciate that. All right, let's go ahead and move on to 8, executive session. Jesse, anything that we need to bring in front of council for that? Go ahead and knock that one out. Okay, move into item number 9, the informational items. So, council, anything that you want to go ahead and share? Share. Okay, we'll go around the room. Polo, anything informational? Skip, James, any last minute stuff you guys want to share? Anything? PD, Cassandra, anything else?
I do, have the ACO Melinda Flores, she's in the division. 22nd of February is the last day, so I will have a vacant position of the ACO.
That is that part-time or full-time?
This full time.
Full-time, okay.
I'm working, I just got their finalized job descriptions. I didn't have a list of the animal control, so I got those from the mayor. So we'll be working on that one and Public Works vacant position to advertise, and then soon to follow the police department vacancies to advertise. We'll get a lot of hiring.
How's your father doing tomorrow? That'd be getting more.
Must be able to get them all. Let us know if we need to do anything for her, okay? So I know she's helped out a lot. So let us know if we can do that. Okay, informational items. Just wanted to pass on, first of all, thanks to PD for your assistance with that weapon discharge incident that we had in town and for the fast reaction and making sure that the public knew exactly what was going on. That made a difference on there. Appreciate all your help with the traffic accident scenes that we've been having, even today on I-35. I know it's up the road. But you guys have actually stepped out a lot and helped out DPS on I-35 and rerouting traffic and everything. And especially that one morning that you guys gave me a call. Along with taking care of some of those pursuits that have gone along I-35. So thank you. Thank you, our community. Paul and Annette, thank you for getting our taxes transferred to our county. I know you guys and Matt working on some of those things. Yep, still working, but we're getting a lot closer and getting them transferred. So we're right there. We've been talking about this for a few months, and you guys have been working really hard, so I appreciate that. I want to say thanks to all the hard work and involvement, working with the Lytle Chamber and getting the Shops of Lytle going. That was a huge impact, a lot of positive information, exchange of information this weekend. Just a lot of people looking forward to it and coming over. So appreciate PD being out over there too. I was good to be able to see them. So this is it's big. I mean, a lot of the small businesses are very excited in the local area to just have a storefront and have a common place where they can kind of help each other out.
That's really good stuff.
So
Wayne's and my food, the buttery store.
that was good. That was good. A lot of neat stuff. I mean, a lot of good stuff, without a doubt. And they're already talking, by the way, about taking another section of the building and actually expanding it and maybe having some more in there. So it's pretty good. If you haven't had a chance, please stop by and see them. A lot of things going on with the school district. Just to let you know, there's actually a national convention in San Antonio this week, and they've actually selected Lytle ISD as a place. So we're going to have some folks from different places in the country that are going to be driving through our city. They're going to be seeing the city and getting a tour of different facilities. So it's pretty neat to be able to get that exposure. Do want to remind the council members that have not done this, please turn in your financial disclosure report. Please get it back to Matt as soon as possible. So, to Paula, please get it in as soon as possible. We need to take care of that. Calendar events, things that are going on. We have the community outreach event, council, and then make sure everybody else, I know that there's a handouts that are passed out like this. So this is a new thing that we're doing, something that we've been talking about in the last few months with the help of WIC and a few other organizations. We're going to have a lot of utility assistance and other programs that are going to be available. We're going to be doing it every 2 months. It's going to be on the third Thursday. And we're doing it at the same time that our seniors are getting together over at the senior center because they will benefit out of some of these programs. So we're going to try to consolidate and keep everything so as people come in. And if you go down that list, you can see there's a little bit of everything. The one that we do need is with CPS. They just send out. It talks about businesses, trying to help businesses. So we're going to need to work with the chamber. But there's a lot of stuff on here to try to help out, providing some help with our folks, increasing community awareness, energy efficiency, safety, residential assistance programs, and this is with CPS Energy. So a great opportunity to take advantage for those that might be on the financial strain. They might be able to get some help with that. So appreciate it, and thanks. Appreciate all the push, making sure that we stayed on course with the things that we need to do.
Another thing too, Mayor, if anyone has a special need or can think of anything else, they should also attend.
Yes.
And bring that to the,
Yep.
the center.
Yep. The only thing we need to know is, folks, how many are going to be there, so we can make sure that we have all the tables and the chairs for them. And it's going to just be an open and they can set up. So it'll be busy at times. It'll be small. We'll do this, but we're going to do it between February and October every other month. And I think it's going to be a benefit. And by the way, this is not only for Lytle, it's for surrounding communities. A lot of these folks that are coming down here, that's all they ask for, is that they could actually be open for other folks. So I'm going to try to do that. All at the seniors at the same day, right? They're getting together. So for they're going to do their own lunch, but we still have that going on a monthly basis. We talked about it lightly, but just a reminder with the elections, for those that need to go ahead and take care of their submissions, are due by this Friday. Also want to add on the school district, besides the basketball playoffs, the boys and the girls weightlifting are going to be going up for qualifiers this coming week. We actually had, Sam, the girls that competed over in Somerset, and how did they do? Came out second, so that was pretty good. And we had one of the gentlemen that was on the top one of the boys.
Yeah, I think they might make it over to state.
Yeah. So the big ones are coming up in Natalia, and the girls will go one day, the boys on another day, and these are the qualifying ones. So great opportunity to be able to go support them on there. We also just found out today that the film documentaries, those 3 of them that were put together by the school district, and they're great documentaries that they put together. They're actually going to be going up to the state level. So they got recognized. So big things happening for our students. So definitely take advantage, and you'll see some literature. We'll send out some stuff that everybody know. Reminder, we got the music festival on the 24th and the 25th of March. So right around the corner. So please make sure that we push information out and help folks out.
Just so you know, I saw an advertisement today, that same weekend, they're having a hill country motorcycle rally in Bandera.
Oh, really?
Yeah, just information.
Well, they can come over at night over here and listen to some
Yeah,
music,
yeah.
right? We just need to make sure we got plenty of motorcycle parking. Okay? Just be able to do that, be able to take care of that. Also, as a heads up, it's way in the calendar, but it's picking up steam, and there's meetings that are happening already. April 2024, the total eclipse. So they're already setting up meetings of having resources, having people, having motels, having all the different activities, events. If we want to do something as a city to be able to host an event in our park, because we're going to have people from everywhere coming over and looking for a place to put their chairs down, grab something to eat, and do different things. So more to come, but April 2024 is going to be a huge thing. We're going to be in that one area. We're going to have total eclipse. So Castroville, a lot of Medina is going to be in there. So a lot of the cities around here are going to be part of that. Okay. And lastly, well, actually, before anybody else? Okay. Lastly, once again, Charles, just want to say thank you for your service. Appreciate what you've done and being out there. And just like we did for him, just want to make sure that we keep our prayers going. We do have Brandon Hunt, who's actually still deployed. His family here in Lytle too. And he's been gone pretty much without any travel back to the States for 292 days. We're hoping that within the next couple of months, he'll actually be back. So keep him and his family and your prayers for a safe return, just like we did for Charles. Okay, any last minute? Nothing? Okay, it is 8:38. A motion for us to go ahead and
I'll make that
adjourn?
motion that we adjourn.
Okay, got a motion? Second? Second, okay. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay. Thank you. Have a great evening. Thank you for joining us.